In this update, we're watching a series of storm complexes coming in from the west. If we expand the view this afternoon, take a look at the overall 500 millibar setup. We've got three areas of disturbed weather. The first is the one that we're going to be keeping an eye on out west across areas of Southern California. That's going to be diving through the Four Corners region and likely setting up shop with more snow across the Rockies. You can see the warmer air continue to hang on for areas across the deep south. We do have a trough that's coming up here into the Great Lakes as well as into portions of the Northeast. And then we have even a stronger system that's kind of building now just south of the Aleutian Islands. And that will also be impacting the West Coast with more heavy rain and some mountain snows as well in the days ahead. So if we take a look at the overall hazard map, it's kind of lit up. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for if you live out west with the much cooler anomalies and what you've seen all winter long. And we're seeing a series of snowstorms that will be impacting areas west. So we do have winter weather advisories for areas of Nevada, back into Utah, portions of Arizona here, and high wind warnings and watches. The winds are going to be really cranking. This is some of the windiest times of the year. We also are watching another decent snowstorm that's getting its act together, and we have winter storm warnings across Wyoming. That includes areas of Nebraska. We'll swing over into Iowa and eventually give some more snow for those areas in northern Illinois. But first and foremost is the system that's going to get its act together starting tomorrow. You can see the more significant vorticity really starting to dig in across areas of Southern California. That is one's going to be putting out these little short waves out ahead of it, these kind of pulses of energy, if you will, kind of overturning the atmosphere with some more snow across this region. And believe it or not, we could be talking about more snow in portions of New Mexico, even the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma by the time we head into Friday night into Saturday. But here's the system on the surface map coming in for areas later on this afternoon into tomorrow. A decent area of low pressure with more beneficial rains across California. That will, of course, put mountain snows and some of the higher elevations back into Nevada, areas of Utah back into the Rockies. Of course, Wyoming gets pounded with some snow with the winter storm warning for them. But there's the low pressure. It's down to a 988 millibar low pressure, pretty decent low that will start to deepen. And one of the things that is significant going forward, at least for the month of March, is your PNA, your Pacific North American, and you can definitely see it's predominantly negative. So that puts the colder anomalies really trending out west as winter really tries to hang on. And for areas east, it's likely going to be kind of completely the opposite. And that's where we're going to be starting to see that clash in temperatures and could set up more severe threats, especially as we get towards that middle part of March. But right now, we've got warmer temperatures to talk about with a one-day surge heading into the middle part of the country and the southern plains, back into Texas and Louisiana and Oklahoma. There's areas into Arkansas, Missouri. Those temperatures are going to soar out ahead of a pretty strong cold front for this time of year for March. And man, that's a welcome sight for those areas down in Phoenix. That is some cooler air really finally to take its grip across the Four Corners region, and they'll welcome that all day long because they know what's next after this. It is full-blown summer. So what we got going on as we head into Friday afternoon, we've got that area low pressure. This is why we have those winter weather advisories in place. It could likely be extended for areas of Iowa back into northern Illinois. This is on the northern flank of that ridge. So, of course, underneath that, those are the warmer anomalies you're going to be experiencing into Friday as temperatures likely surge into the 80s by the time that strong cold front really clashes those temperatures for Saturday. So as it does, we're going to have a secondary area of low pressure that will likely form during the overnight on Friday heading into Saturday. And yes, that could actually bring snow for those areas into New Mexico. And we're talking snow in the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma. for areas into the overnight on Friday, heading into Saturday morning, and kind of a chillier rain. But we do have a little bit of an instability with these dew points tapping into the upper 50s and low 60s down here into central and southeast Texas, back into Louisiana, as well as into Mississippi and portions of Arkansas. We could be looking at some marginally enhanced severe storms, likely some wind threats, especially in there just southeast of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, getting into southeastern portions of Texas, as well as into Shreveport, Lake Charles, as well as into New Orleans, getting into the Mobile region. Some of these could produce some smaller hail into the overnight hours into Saturday morning, and definitely some strong gusty winds, and some of those could be turning severe with some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. But nevertheless, it's going to be a complete change as we head into Saturday afternoon, as temperatures soar on Friday in the mid 80s in Dallas, and now we're talking the middle 40s. That's a 40-degree drop on Saturday, with a brief winter returns for them as those cooler anomalies. I mean, check that out for Oklahoma City, 38 degrees in the afternoon. That's some chilly air for March standards. You can see the sharp gradient in temperatures further south where the colder air is, and as these systems come in from west to east, and as it does, it's looking like, look at that, it's going to bring some of that snow. I mean, this is not going to account for much, but still, we're talking snow in southern portions of Oklahoma, maybe in the Childers, maybe in the Wichita Falls region. Could see some wet snowflakes in the overnight hours, and further south would be just kind of a light to moderate rain at times across Arkansas, as well as into portions of Mississippi. But there's your snow between now and Sunday night. So we could be picking up some decent totals across areas in Nevada, back into the higher elevations of Arizona, into New Mexico, into the Four Corners regions, back into Wyoming. Pretty decent amounts. Could have some 10-inch amounts in a swath going through areas of northern Nebraska, getting into Iowa. And yes, that does include some folks into northern Illinois, as well as into Indiana. And there's that snow further south. So yeah, not be surprised if you live up here across the Texas Panhandle into southern portions of Oklahoma, far northwest portions of, say, northwest of Dallas. Could see some wet snowflakes if you stay up long enough, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Into the overnight, temperatures for probably 35, 38 degrees as dynamic cooling takes shape. But nonetheless, could see some wet snowflakes for the month of March. But more significantly, as we're going to be getting into late next week, we're going to be watching a really potent trough really be digging in out west. And this is complements of that negative P&A that we're talked about. That's going to bring much colder air for areas out west. So it's going to be feeling full-blown winter mode out for the Pacific Northwest, a good part of California, much of the desert Southwest. When's the last time you've seen the entire state of Arizona under that green of 10 to 15 degrees below average, right? So they've been waiting for this. They've been waiting for this. They're finally getting some reprieve from the warmer air before summer kicks into full throttle. So they'll take this as long as they can get it. And areas out east and central and eastern 2/3, again, it's the completely opposite. And unfortunately, that will be setting the stage for a significant storm system that looks to unfold likely on Friday, but especially heading into next weekend. So here's the setup going forward. We've got much needed rain moving down into Southern California, back into Arizona, some higher elevation snows into Idaho, back into Montana. Those sneak into Wyoming, and then out ahead of it, we'll have a significant area of low pressure with more snow building in from areas out west. They were going to be adding to those snowfall totals for the month of March for the Rockies back into Colorado, and that will only continue and amplify a deepening trough. So this is pretty significant. It looks to go negatively tilted by the time we head into Friday, and we could be looking at a potent area of low pressure really starting to form, and this could likely be our next significant severe weather, likely get its act together on Friday, depending on the shape of this overall trough. Once the time it actually gets here, we could be looking at widespread severe storms across the southern plains again and back into the southeast, while we've got a potent area of low pressure forming across the middle part of the country down to a 973. So this is significant, and this is even stronger, if you recall, from the one that we actually just went through. And you know, they brought some significant winds. We had extreme areas of straight line wind damage all across the board. And what was significant with that last storm, I know parts of Kansas had some 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This was outside of the severe storms. So that that was pretty rare. And we had some, brownout conditions with the dust coming in from West Texas through Dallas. So we could be looking at a little bit of more, similar type setup as we head into Friday and into the Saturday timeframe of next week. So the Climate Prediction Center has already highlighted a huge area of significant winds coming in from that storm system starting on the 13th of March. That would be end of late next week, and that significant higher winds, already a moderate risk for excessive winds across this region where that system will be diving in across the middle part of the country. And of course that will continue to eastbound towards that 15th and 16th time frame. So expect a lot of high winds going to unfold by the time we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next weekend. But there's your snow that's coming up for the next 7 to 10 days. So we'll be watching a series of storm complexes coming in from the west. Will produce more heavy snows for March standards, and will leave a blanket of snow across Flagstaff, those areas in Santa Fe, back into the mountains of Colorado, into the portions of Utah, back into Nevada, getting into Wyoming, as well as into Montana, and a pretty good swath of snow through the Dakotas, of course, into Nebraska, and then that will push through areas of Iowa, and then leave some leftover snow back into northern Illinois as well as into Indiana. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update while I protect you before and after the storm.